Welcome to World Builder Zak. All right, today we're going to go live. We're going to do episode 2 of Necromancers. So this should be a pretty cool broadcast. First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do kind of a what can you expect from my channel. I haven't really done one. I'm going to try to keep it to a minute. And so I'm going to read that first. And then after that, I'm going to get into the actual Necromancer story. That one will be a bit longer. I think it's something around like 8 or 9 pages, double space. So it'll take a little while to read. Feel free to ask any questions you might have. I'll be happy to answer them. And then also, also I'll just kind of explain certain things that maybe go along with the story, a little behind the scenes and things like that. So I hope you enjoy this. If nothing else, you get to see me do a voiceover. Hopefully it sounds good. We've got a ton of smog in Minnesota. These wildfires from Canada are just killing us here. So of course that's gotten, into my throat a little bit, but hopefully it still sounds good enough, for YouTube and also for the podcast. So, all right. I'll get started with the short introduction to my YouTube channel first. What can you expect from World Builder Zak? What can you expect from World Builder Zak? In under a minute, I hope. In under a minute, I hope. What can you expect from World Builder Zak? What can you expect from World Builder Zak? In under a minute, I hope. I am creating a sci-fi fantasy universe right here on YouTube. I'm starting with YouTube. I'm creating a sci-fi fantasy universe starting on YouTube. Starting with YouTube. I'm creating a sci-fi fantasy universe starting with YouTube. This might seem backwards, because it is. This might appear backwards, because it is. But because of this, every character and every story on my channel is completely original. I am populating my channel. I am populating my channel with stories. I am populating my universe with stories. Origin stories. I am populating my universe with origin stories that will lead up to the Milky Way Academy. I'm recording the voiceovers live right here on YouTube, so be sure to allow notifications and hit the bell so you know when I go online. And I do things a little differently. The most recent stories I've written have rhymed like... And I do things a little differently. The most recent stories I've written are epic poems, which rhyme like rap or song lyrics. Not all of the stories rhyme, of course, but not all of the stories rhyme, of course, but most of them will from now on. Not every video will rhyme, of course, but most of the stories will from now on. And I illustrate the stories too. And I illustrate them too. I am self-taught, so don't expect perfection, but hopefully they add a deeper element to the stories. I've only been doing this since January of 2023, so I'm still feeling things out. I'm sure some changes are still to come. I'm sure some changes are still to come. Thank you, and please subscribe. I look forward to going on this journey with you. All right, so I think that's pretty good for the initial voiceover for that. Let's switch over to the story here so you can see. I don't know if it's showing up in real time, but there's quite a bit to read here. In this case, I'll actually be looking down and reading. I won't be like pausing the way that I was before. When I pause now, what I'll mostly be doing is like correcting a sentence or doing a final revision. Unfortunately, having a full-time job and, you know, wife and kid and everything like that, I usually can do like kind of one revision. I write this all usually in a week, you know, and then I go cut it live and start editing. So this will be the voiceover of episode 2 of Necromancers. Priest Minister Anastasis stood up, a pleasant smile on her face. I got to do her voice now. Allow me to bless you all. Your child has honored our holy place. Anastasis stood taller than her height. Anastasis stood taller than her height. Pale skin nearly glowed in the night. Pale skin nearly glowing in the night. Glowed. This is past tense, all right. Pale skin nearly glowed in the night. Unexpected beauty below raven black hair. Black Gothic dress ornamented with care. Black Gothic dress ornamented with care. Hot pink strings failed to restrain her bust. Hot pink strings failed to restrain her bust. Restrain. Hot pink string failed to restrain her bust. A similar shade of lipstick teased a secret side in lust. A similar shade of lipstick teased a secret side in lust. Of lust, maybe. A similar shade of lipstick teased a secret side of lust. I think we'll change that to of. She bit her finger. His family took a knee. She drew a pentagram on their forehead for everyone to see. Directed to the crowd, kneel before this boy. Kneel before this boy. This day we mark for eternity, a celebration of joy. This day we mark for eternity, a celebration of our joy. She reacted for She reached for Nexus's hand and clasped it like a mother. Clasped. She reached for Nexus's hand and clasped it like a mother. Clasped it like a mother. That's so hard. She reached for Nexus's hand and clasped it like a mother. I feel like it's like clasped it like a mother. All right. Knights, show our honored guests to their new quarter. Knights, show our honored guests to their quarter. She pivoted to walk inside. Nexus reached back for his parents. Tears ran the curves of the smiles. Oh, yeah. Tears ran the curves of the smiles they wore for his reassurance. This was their dream. No, their dream was This was their dream. No, their dream was transcended. They prayed he'd become a knight of night, a goal he'd far exceeded. All right, before the next page, just let me peek to see if anything has popped into chat. I don't see the chat on here. All right. See if it is here. There it is. All right. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to add them to the chat, and I'll be happy to answer them. But basically, this is just a world, if you're new to this, where everybody has the power of necromancy. So rather than it being like people lurking in the shadows or people necessarily that have like power over everyone else, it's something kind of everyone can do. So because of that, this chasm where, the bodies would be dropped to, I guess, like, keep them from being able to be risen again, became controlled by one group. That group has now declared themselves the Church of the Endless Chasm, and they've gained enough power that they are now the political force in the area. So in the first story, Nexus, who has like extreme skill in this, he can control multiple undead at the same time. He gets basically brought into this church and separated from his parents. Well, you're actually seeing that kind of happen here. So that's what's going on right now, is hopefully this kind of like heartfelt moment where he is really trying to like keep that connection with his parents, while this Anastasis, who runs the church, she's the priest minister, kind of like the prime minister, but also a church thing. She is going to be kind of taking control of this situation and basically saying, no, this is mine now. So hopefully that all comes through here. We'll see. They devoted their lives to this holy church of the Endless Chasm. They devoted their lives to this holy church of the Endless Chasm, believing their fortune would rise with his until granted rest in the bottomless canyon. Believing their fortune would rise with his until granted rest in the bottomless canyon. Their son raised the dead with ease, 4 bodies in his possession. At first, they feared the church's response to teach their knights a lesson. To teach their knights a lesson. To teaching. At first, for response, for teaching. Not to teaching, for. There we go, that makes sense. At first, they feared the church's response for teaching their knights a lesson. So actually, Nexus did. He actually killed 2 of the Knights of Night, and that was what brought him, to their attention. And instead of, punishing him, she was like, "No, you're mine now. Come here." All right. As it turned out, their knight's death were Nexus's resume. Bittersweet the taste for these devotees. Bittersweet the taste for these devotees as their talented blessing walked away. Whew. Bittersweet the taste for these devotees as their talented blessing walked away. The child's gaze remained locked on his ever-shrinking family. The child's gaze remained locked on his ever-shrinking family. Forget them, child. Forget them, child. They birthed you, but you were born of me. Forget them, child. They birthed you, but you were born of me. Nexus looked up in panic, her soft smile meant to calm. Nexus looked up in panic, her soft smile meant to calm. The harder he pulled his hand, the tighter she constricted her palm. They entered her throne room, vaulted 3 luxurious stories. They entered her throne room, vaulted 3 luxurious stories. A pentagram of stained glass overlooked necromantia in all of its glories. A pentagram of stained glass overlooked necromantia in all of its glories. The palace spire stood so high, a 60-mile line of sight. The palace spire stood so high, a 60-mile line of sight. Lit up like a beacon, visible to all through the night. Throughout the night? Throughout, probably. Lit up like a beacon, visible to all throughout the night. There we are. Anastasis led him to the balcony. Anastasis led him to the balcony, overlooking her knights as they trained. They are nothing compared to you, not worth the dirt their blood has stained. They are nothing compared to you, not worth the dirt their blood has stained. They will donate their lives to you, my son. They will donate their lives to you, my son, as they have done for me. I grant their lineage access to the chasm in exchange for their eternal loyalty. I grant their lineage access to the chasm in exchange for their eternal loyalty. You have surpassed them each without effort, but that's not nearly enough. You have surpassed them all without effort, but that's not nearly enough. You must surpass them as a whole. You must pass them all by as a whole until your powers. You must pass them by as a. No, let's surpass still. All right. You must surpass them as a whole. Until then, your powers are only a bluff. Starting tomorrow, we will train you through pain, hatred, and fear. To test your progress, I will be your opponent at the end of each year. To test your progress, I will be your opponent at the end of each year. Okay, I have not actually done his voice yet. I kind of avoided it in the first story. I'm a little worried about trying to go like a kid's voice when I have as deep a one as I do. So this might take a little bit of practice here. So let's take a look. Where are my parents? He's only 7 years old here. Where are my parents? Where are my parents? Where are my parents? It was clear his thoughts were not of necromancy. She voiced through annoyance. Not to worry, I will keep them close to me. She voiced through annoyance. Not to worry, I will keep them close to me. I want to see them. 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 All right, hopefully one of those works. Nexus quivered in sync with his lower lip. Nexus quivered in sync with his lower lip. Anastasis tipped her head back and slowly tightened her grip. Anastasis tipped her head back and slowly tightened her grip. She took a deep breath, then calmly said, "There's only one way. There's only one way. Follow my rules and do as I say. Follow my rules and do as I say. I will reunite you three someday. I will reunite you three someday. Follow my rules and do as I say. I will reunite you three someday." Angry, Nexus scanned the room for something to attack her. He sensed a corpse in an ornate crate stuck back in the corner. He made its arms and legs break through the crate like a crab. He made its arms and legs break through the crate like a crab. Break through the crate like a crab. Okay. He made his arms and legs break through the crate. He made his arms and legs break through the crate like a crab. He sent it at her, but she held her hand. He sent it at her, but she held her hand out as though there's something to grab. As though there's something to grab. He sent it at her, but she held her hand out. But she held out her hand. Maybe that's it. He sent it at her, but she held out her hand as though there's something to grab. There we go. How did I do that? He sent it at her. but she held out her hand as though there's something to grab. As though there's something to grab. A show of strength. She shifted the corpse. A show of strength. She shifted the corpse to her employ. The crab crate changed directions and charged at the boy. I'll say straight for the boy. That's good. The crab crate changed directions and charged straight for the boy. The crab crate changed directions and charged straight for the boy. He fought her control with all his might to absolutely no avail. It pinned him to the wall, crushing his chest. It pinned him to the wall, crushing his chest, clear to both who would prevail. It pinned him to the wall, crushing his chest, clear to both who would prevail. Manners, child. Manners, child. Calmly she spoke. It's true I have plans for you. It's true I have plans for you. But you can't imagine the pain. But you can't imagine the pain I can put you and your family through. She felt Nexus shut off his power. She felt Nexus shut off his power, no longer trying to control the undead. She placed her finger under his chin, then slowly tilted up his head. Good boy. Good boy. Her smile returned like an owner over a disciplined pet. Disciplined pet. Her smile returned like an owner over a disciplined pet. Get some rest. Get some rest. Her voice... Get some rest. Her voice toned for comfort, but her eyes projected a threat. Her heels rhythmically clapped marble. Her heels rhythmically clapped marble as she sauntered out the door. He held his breath to hold back the chest. It finally collapsed to the floor. All right, let's take a peek. Hey, Cloudy. I'm so glad you were able to join me. Oh, did I type that in the wrong spot? Let's try that. All right. Well, anyway, welcome, Cloudy. I really appreciate you coming and watching the feed. Let me know if you have any questions about the story, about the process, or anything like that. And I hope everything's going well. It says that the stream's current bitrate is a little lower than recommended, so I'm not quite sure how to fix that. So we will check that out here in a little bit. But for now, let's get back to the story. Nexus sat on her cold stone ground, paralyzed by weakness. For the very first time that he can recall, he truly felt powerless. The bishop from before walked in the door and took. The bishop from before walked in the door and took a revenant knee. I have come to escort you to your quarters. Oh, sorry, I got to go to his voice now. Yes. I have come to escort you to your quarters, Your Excellency. I have come to escort you to your quarters, Your Excellency. Excellency, he thought. He slapped him in the face. In the previous story, when he went to the church first, the bishop slapped him for lying about taking out those knights and trying to confess. So that's where that comes from. He really treated him and the rest of the poor very poorly there. So again, this is not a good group of people. All right. Excellency, he thought. He slapped him in the face. Then he bowed and offered to escort him through the palace. His maroon and white robes were designed to impress us. All right. His maroon and white robes were designed to impress us. But he bowed so low, only his pentagram hat was taller than Nexus. I think we need the word he there. There we go. My parents, mom and dad. I want my mom and dad. All right. My parents, mom and dad. I want my mom and dad. I can't. It's best if we don't. I can't. It's best if we don't make the priest minister mad. I can't. It's best if we don't make the priest minister mad. She said it's not our place to reunite you. She said it's not our place to reunite you. She said that reward is reserved for only her to give you. She said that reward is reserved for only her to give you. She said that reward is reserved. She said that reward is reserved for only her to give you. But why? But why? But why? Nexus sniffled. I just want my family. I just want my family. Trust in her, the bishop responded. One day we will all see. One day we will all see. One day we will all see. The chasm has granted her gifts beyond comprehension. The chasm has granted her gifts beyond comprehension. No other necromancer has achieved such ascension. This is why we have answered her call. This is why we have answered her call. The priest minister has a plan for us all. The priest minister has a plan for us all. Plan for us all. Plan for us all. The priest minister has a plan for us all. The bishop turned to the hall, encouraging Nexus to follow. Nexus understood his place, though it was tough to swallow. Nexus understood his place, though it was tough to swallow. He realized Anastasis controlled the whole thing. Not really a democracy, more like a king. He spoke, and everyone immediately... She spoke, and everyone immediately fell in line. To them, her powers are proof that she was truly divine. To them, her powers are proof. To them, her powers are proof that she was truly divine. I hope these quarters are to your liking. Else you need only ask. I hope these quarters are to your liking. Else you need only ask. I shall stay close at all times. Anastasis honored me with... I shall stay close at all times. Anastasis honored me with this task. I shall stay close at all times. Anastasis honored me with this task. Bishop. Quietly, Nexus inquired. I've been wondering since I came. I've been wondering since I came. Everyone calls you Bishop, but what's your real name? Everyone calls you Bishop, but what's your real name? Taken aback by the boy, unsure what to say or do. Bishop's fine. Excellency, if it's all right with you. Bishop's fine, Excellency. Bishop's fine, Excellency. Okay. Bishop's fine, Excellency, if it's all right with you. If it's all right with you. He hadn't heard his real name spoken in decades. In the church, they just went by their titles and trades. I just don't know any... I just don't know anyone. I just don't know anyone. Nexus paused on the spot. I just thought. A moment of understanding escaped from the bishop's eyes. Bishop will suffice. Flushed with emotion to his surprise. I will inform the cook to make you a small feast. I will inform the cook to make you a small feast. You had a long day, starving, I'm sure, to say the least. You had a long day, starving, I'm sure, to say the least. That's good. All right. He backed out the door. Speak up should you need me. He backed out the door. Speak up if you should need me. Nexus searched his room for any escape from which he could flee. No use. His balcony was at least 100 feet off the ground. No use. His balcony was at least 100 feet off the ground. Below were Necromancer's training, but still he could hardly hear a sound. Below were Necromancer's training, but still he could hardly hear a sound. Defeated, Nexus dragged his cloak across the floor. He climbed into his huge lush bed and stared at the sliver of light through the door. All right. He climbed into his huge lush bed and stared at the sliver of light through the door. The light never changed, though it strobed as a guard moved around. Although, does that make sense? We'll say stayed on. The light stayed on, though it strobed as a guard moved around. Nexus looked forward to every moment as long as it came with some kind of sound. Or every movement. Nexus looked forward to every movement as long as it came with some kind of sound. The bishop bursted in. Your feast as promised. You will love it, Your Excellency, for you only the very best. You will love it, Your Excellency. No. You will love it, Your Excellency, for you only the very best. You will love it, Your Excellency, for you only the very best. Three heads bowed and hoods carried in a variety of food. Three heads bowed and hoods carried in a variety of food. All right, let's check in quick. Hey, Doppel. All right. Of course, you'd find the cat one first. Pretty nice. All right. Again, let me know if you have any questions or anything. All right. So right now, of course, Nexus is feeling super lonely as expected. This is kind of our introduction to a relationship that will happen between him and this bishop. So hopefully, that'll kind of play out the way that I'm hoping. It's going to lead to something in probably story 3 or episode 3. So I think it's going to be kind of an important key part here. All right. You will love it. 3 heads. There we go. Not the least of which was a desert fox, skinned, spiced, and barbecued. Bishop, called Nexus. Would you mind joining me? No, it wouldn't be appropriate if someone were to see. No, it wouldn't be appropriate if someone were to see. Disappointment spread across Nexus's face. He didn't know a single soul left in this place. He felt lonely. He had never even eaten by himself. Village food was scarce, boring, and never prepared by a chef. Village food was scarce, boring, and never prepared by a chef. But his family was always together, praying, talking, and laughing. Alone, there was no one around to distract him from his kidnapping. The bishop reversed back. His robes flapped as he walked. The bishop reversed back. The bishop reversed back. His robes flapped as he walked. He whispered, "My name is Virgo." Nexus looked up, tearful and shocked. He whispered, "My name is Virgo." Nexus looked up, tearful and shocked. Virgo escaped as quickly as he came. It's crazy how much comfort can come from a name. He certainly still can't call him a friend, but he wasn't a total stranger anymore. Okay. But he wasn't a total stranger anymore, or at least Nexus could pretend. So much food for a 7-year-old. So much food for a 7-year-old. He wished he could share it with those in the cold. Like Nexus, the peasants were frail and weak. This one meal could have fed his family for a week. Bishop Virgo retreated. Bishop Virgo retreated. The silence returned. Nexus resurrected the fox. Nexus resurrected the fox, which he curtsied and turned. Nexus resurrected the fox, which he curtsied and turned. He walked it over to curl on his plate. Then he grabbed a knife, and with gusto he ate. With only 4 ornate, why would I use that word? All right. With only 4 ornate walls which he stared, Nexus returned to being a child alone and scared. Nexus returned to being a child alone and scared. He climbed like a cliff. He climbed like a cliff onto his giant fluffy bed. He climbed like a cliff onto his giant fluffy bed. Thoughts of his parents ricocheted in his head. Thoughts of his parents ricocheted in his head. He pictured them happy lives to avoid the morning. His morning. Yeah, that's good. His morning. He pictured them happy lives to avoid his morning, and to stop him from thinking what might await him in the morning. And to stop him from thinking of what might await him in the morning. And to stop him from thinking of what might await And to stop him from thinking of what might await him in the morning. What might await him in the morning. And to stop him from thinking of what might await him in the morning. Nexus woke to the sound of... Nexus woke to the sound of plates cleared and replaced. Bishop Virgo stood in the doorway overseeing their haste. Bishop Virgo stood in the doorway overseeing their haste. A whole new spread spread across the hand-tooled table. This was a perfect reproduction of every glutton-based fable. Glutton or gluttony? Probably gluttony. Gluttony. All right. This was a perfect reproduction of every gluttony-based fable. Getting a little sweaty here. All right. A new purple robe draped A new purple robe draped on a hanger by the bed. Hanger, not hanger, hanger. A new purple robe draped on a hanger by the bed. Draped a hanger? Yeah, draped on a hanger. Yep. On. At least he wouldn't worry whether or not he'd be clothed and fed. At least he wouldn't worry whether or not he'd be clothed and fed. Virgo rushed him through each step of getting ready in the morning. It was clear the pace was specifically set up to keep bad thoughts from forming. I can tell you this, Bishop Virgo announced. In every way you are a prince. In every way you are a prince. In every way you are a prince. You can do what you want, when you want, without punishment or price. However, when it comes to the priest minister's wishes, you must hit the mark. There's no room for misses. Anastasis's word is everything to all of us. Anastasis's word is everything to all of us. To her, you are another believer to follow forever without any fuss. To her, you are another believer to follow forever without any fuss. Without any fuss, I like that better. To her, you are another believer to follow forever without any fuss. Those who act directly from her direction will carry out her wishes without exception. Just as she mandated me to your aid, we all have parts from her plan to be played. Nexus spoke up. I'm your prince. I wish to see my family. I'm your prince. I wish to see my family. As I said, Virgo lowered his tone. That is not a power she granted to me. Virgo snapped his fingers and the room scattered empty. Nexus again dined alone. At breakfast, too, he would be lonely. Virgo returned, pushing Nexus into his busy day. Virgo then returned, pushing Nexus into his busy day. I think we're going to add then. I don't love it, but we'll do it. All right. Do what you want, Nexus thought. Maybe if it's on his itinerary. Do what you want, Nexus thought. Maybe if it's on his itinerary. Virgo brought Nexus to his very first class. In a small arena made from steel and glass. A night of night approached, no duffel to be seen. So the duffels carry the undead in them. From the first story, you would know, so he doesn't have that with him. His armor was more ornate than the others. There I go, using ornate again. His armor was more ornate than the others, but his scowl was just as mean. His hair starched white as expensive bleached... His hair starched as white as expensive bleached bones. His voice rattled deeply in ominous tones. All right, another new voice here. Boy, stand at attention when I'm talking to you. That's pretty good. Boy, stand at attention. Boy, stand at attention when I'm talking to you. What? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. What? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Nexus trembled. This knight wasn't scared. If he knew of his power, this knight wouldn't have dared. Heels together, shoulders apart. Heels together, shoulders apart. Shout yes, sir, and don't get smart. This knight clearly commanded the authority of experience. But Nexus had enough. His tone made him furious. Nexus reached down, using all his power to search for corpses. Something was wrong. He could sense the energy, but not the sources. Pathetic. The knight backhanded the child, sending him to the steel floor. Nexus looked back just in time to see Virgo back out and shut the door. You really are an oddity. To think our new prince is filthy from poverty. You didn't even know steel affects necromancy. Even half an inch nearly eliminates its potency. But you wouldn't know that, would you? Living in the slums with only dirt below you. How dare you, Nexus cried. I am your prince. Not mine, the knight shouted. To me, you're an inconvenience. Look up through the glass. The priest minister's watching. She doesn't care what I do as long as you're improving. Watching and improving. I think we're going to cut off the G's here. Let's do that. All right. Look up through the glass. The priest minister's watching. She doesn't care what I do as long as you're improving. Now stand up straight, feet together. I will beat the weakness out of you. I will make you stronger. Call me Captain Equinox. I've been tasked to your physical fitness. Physical fitness. Do we want that? Yeah. Let's just say fitness. Call me Captain Equinox. I've been tasked with your fitness. Call me Captain Equinox. I've been tasked with your fitness. I will make you claw out of hell. Oh, probably boy there. Let's add that. Boy. I will make you claw out of hell, boy. Only Anastasis and the devil will be my witness. Torture and training. Nexus suffered for years. So now we're going to kind of move ahead a bit. This is all leading up to when he's old enough to eventually join the Milky Way Academy. So, torture and training. Nexus suffered through years. Torture and training. Nexus suffered through years. Broken down and built up. Through tears. Torture torture and training, Nexus suffered through tears. Broken down and built up over years and years. Every year he battled anastasis for the chance to see his family. Every year he battled anastasis for that chance to see his family. Boy, my throat is getting to me. Glad this is almost over because I don't have much left in me here. Every battle left him in the infirmity because she beat him so badly. Virgo aged doubly, Virgo aged doubly, still charged with this ward. Virgo aged doubly, still charged with this ward, wincing as he witnessed each depraved act they performed. 7 years have passed since the day they took Nexus. I still keep watch and take note of his progress. He's changed so much. Pentagram scarred deep through half his head. He's changed so much. Pentagram scarred deep through half his head. His left eye's carved up too, a self-inflicted star in red. Who am I watching now? To what do I witness? A tool of destruction or a captive child in distress? A tool of destruction or a captive child in distress? The next year will be telling of who he could be. Is Nexus still an option for the Milky Way Academy? Is Nexus still an option for the Milky Way Academy? Is Nexus still an option for the Milky Way Academy? Or will his burning ember of hate continue to grow in intensity? This anticipation is murder. I guess that's what I'm dying to see. All right. This anticipation is murder. I guess that's what I'm dying to see. World Builder Zak. All right. This anticipation is murder. I guess that's what I'm dying to see. All right. I don't think I can do my voice any better than that right now. All right. I'll do kind of my closing for it. Thank you. Thank you for watching Necromancers. Please subscribe to see more. Thank you for watching Necromancers. Please subscribe for the next episode. Now, click the next video to go further down the rabbit hole. All right. I think we're pretty good here. I didn't really do an intro to it specifically. Maybe I'll do that now real quick. Welcome to World Builder Zak. Welcome to Necromancers on World Builder Zak. Bye. Welcome to Necromancers by World Builder Zak. Maybe I'll just leave it at that. I don't think I need a long intro, especially for episode 2 here. So I've done previous episodes. I did 3 episodes on the Cyclops that has no legs. He just walks around on his hands and stuff. Still became kind of a badass. So that's one of the epic poems that I've done. I've got a bunch that don't rhyme, where I'm more like describing characters and stuff when I was first feeling this all out. But now I'm kind of going in this direction where I think I've found what I want to do here with these epic poems. So I don't know what kind of market there is for it. I don't know if this is something people are going to love, but I'm really enjoying doing it. So as long as I keep enjoying doing it, I think I'm going to continue. And thank you, chat, for checking in. I really appreciate you guys. this should be the end here, so I'm going to probably sign off and say goodbye, but thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. I keep kind of looking down. I should be looking at the camera, but anyway, thank you and have a great night. I'll see you guys next time.